So, yay to cherry popper videos. That was your trigger warning. It doesn't stop. So we're going to start real simple, I hope. It does go back generations. My fifth great-grandfather on my dad's side, 5 generations back, is named Adam. He moved to Tennessee from Germany area, which was originally Switzerland to Germany on that side of the family. And this is my father's father's father. Follow the patriarchal line. My father's name is Michael. His birth date is 9/22. That matches my biological mother's birthdays, my biological mother's birthday, which is also 9/22. Her name is Elizabeth. My biological grandma on my mother's side is Elizabeth. My biological mother is Mary. My stepmom is Mary. One is Mary Kirkpatrick, which is not correct. Kirkpatrick was a chosen last name by my biological father. So biomom has her step-grandfather's last name. The actual last name is Wortman, W-O-R-T-M-A-N. That is Scottish. That dates back to royal lineage and also Pict or painted people. I don't know much about my biological mother's side of the family, but yeah, my biomom's father's side of the family is Pict, Scottish Pict. On my father's mother's side of the family, my grandma, my dad's mom's name is Faye, and her mother's name is Vella, last name Bowman, but Bowman is a married name. Her last name was originally Reid, R-E-I-D, which is, yes, Scottish royal lineage. So, I may circle back to all of this later, because there's more to it. We're talking a minimum of 3 to 5 generations worth in my current physical bloodline that are in on this, or have something to do with. Okay, so my dad was born in the late 50s, so he was a 60s baby technically. I'm not sure the age difference of the siblings, but as it goes, Grandma Faye, my dad's mom, Grandma Faye had 4 children. My Aunt Pam was to her first husband. The other 3 were boys. Okay, so you got Aunt Pam and 3 boys. Larry, Michael, and Jimmy. Now, my Uncle Larry passed away due to a motorcycle accident when he was 24 years old. I looked up the date and stuff, and that was funny too. So that date is actually important, because these numericals play a part, but the numericals provided are meant to lead you to a path. They're not the path. So I a lot of times recognize that the numbers are there and look at the actual information I'm being given, especially when scrying. Okay, so Uncle Larry being 24 when that happened is we'll come back to that. I was 24 when a death happened to me, and it happened to me, not in my life. Because death is a cute word to use anyway. It means change. It doesn't mean death. We don't die. We're light refracted. We can't die. What happens is we lose sight of how to keep our refracted light contained within what we call our physical bodies. So anyway, that aside, Uncle Larry died when he was 24. Well, 6 months later, my bio mom gets with my dad. Why is it 6? Why am I a Libra? Why does my whole birthday add up to 9? Everything does. I weighed 7 pounds 11 ounces at birth. I was born at 1:20 p.m. on October 18th, 1988. Go ahead, try to steal my identity. It's fine. Good luck. You can't match me. I'm sorry. So anyway, fucking Uncle Larry passed away at 24. 6 months later, my dad meets my bio mom. And there are 3 mishaps. By mishaps, I mean abortions or miscarriages. And then my brother was born accidentally. He was an accidental pregnancy. Mind you, he's 3 years and 11 months older than me. So, 3 more miscarriages or abortions later, I was planned. I was planned to be born, or whatever. They wanted to get pregnant again. So you've got a total of 8 children. Because you had, and I don't know, I'd have to ask my bio mom on it, but you had 2 of one and 1 of the other. There were either 2 abortions and a miscarriage, or 2 miscarriages and an abortion, and it's flip-flopped. Like, it was 2 and 1 before my brother Ray. Yeah, Ray. You know, like sunlight. So anyway, so you had 3 fuck-ups, and then my brother, and then 3 more fuck-ups before I was born. So that's 8 children. Okay, we want to get into the whole Wheel of the Year thing with Imbolc and Samhain and all of that. And there's your 8. Okay, so I'm born in Dallas Presbyterian Hospital, Dallas, Texas. I don't know if that has anything to do with David, the city near Jerusalem, but I know Jerusalem has a rock wall around it, and I know that I was born in Dallas and then raised in Rockwall. And for those of you not local to Texas, Rockwall is the smallest county in the state, you know, similar to, you know, Jerusalem and shit. But it's named Rockwall because there's a rock wall that surrounds the county, like the city of Rockwall. It's weird as shit. There's also old school, weird Native American and stuff issues that happened, so I'm going to be looking into the history of all that, but I think it's all in old school newspapers, the ones you have to look through at the library that have the flip machines, like old school, which is what I grew up researching on. I forgot what they're called right now. I was born in Dallas, raised in Rockwall. There was something that happened by the time I was 18 months old that led to my parents' second divorce, because these motherfuckers had to decide that the divorce that they got prior to the pregnancy of my older brother, that they needed to get remarried. So I've often questioned this, like, you had an out, like y'all had no kids, and y'all were legally divorced because y'all had already been legally married, and you went to the courthouse and got married again before my older brother was born. Really? Huh. Okay. So yeah, they They ended up getting divorced by the time I was 18 months old. What's interesting about that, besides the fact that I was, 18 months old, which is 9, is it was a bam 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 thing for me at 18 months old, because within a month and a half time span, my parents were splitting. There was definitely some kind of physical or verbal abuse going on. I'm not sure what. I was 18 fucking months old or younger. So they were splitting. I got stitches in my chin here from falling on a Christmas tree stand on the front porch. I had pneumonia. And I had gotten tubes in my ears at some point around that time as well. But I was in the hospital for 2 weeks with pneumonia at 18 months old. And then, promptly after, it was bam bam. Dad told me which was which at one point, which came first, but I had pneumonia and I got stitches in my chin within a 2-week time span, because I'm awesome like that. But I had also been taken out of my crib in the middle of the night, according to my father. So, that was 11:33, literally, when I looked at the camera and said that. So, the thought that I was thinking while I stated that my father said I was taken out of my crib in the middle of the night. I've gotten some downloads over the last few days that I wasn't taken by my biological mom, as my dad had claimed. Dad claims my brother saw it happen. He would have been 4 and a half, almost 5 at the time. But the story I was told by my biological dad, by my earth dad, as I've come to start saying, coffee's great. I love coffee, excuse me. I have ADHD. I might be on the spectrum, but I've never been diagnosed properly. But I do walk around like this a lot. But Peter Pan apparently did this in one of his stories, imitating Hook when he was going to take over something. So maybe that's what that's from. Anyway, story from Dad. I got snatched out of my crib in the middle of the night. My brother saw it, supposedly by a mom, left me in the vehicle of hers full of smoke while she went and got drunk in the bar. I did get further clarification on this story when I got older, from a woman named Anne, that, lo and behold, babysat me when I was an infant, because this is, my weird life. So what happened was, when I was 16, 17, I was using proxy websites to get on MySpace during school hours in my English literature classroom, because that's where that was my safe space, really, was with my English teachers. My hair is fucking perfect for this video. So I was fucking off on the proxy website on MySpace, and I got a message from this person named Jocelyn, and they're like, "You look cool, let's be friends." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And we chatted. We never started anything romantic. We didn't even hint at it. We were literally just friends. But I found out while I was in North Carolina, because when I was 14, I moved. We'll backtrack. This is not going to go sequentially. I wanted it to. I really wanted it to, because I need it to be, so I can look over all of history and all of the stories and kind of figure out what in the fuck order everything happened in, because I don't want history to disappear. That's how we learn. It's how we learn not to repeat actions, at least. But another half of me feels like if we teach it, then we're giving the fuckers ideas. So it's really yay, I'm a Libra. there's a fight on whether or not I want to keep all of history. But I do. The end result is I do want to keep all of history. So I'm 17. This chick hits me up, um, non-romantically, and we start chatting online. And it's just friend stuff, random bullshit, talking about days or things we like. Um, and since I was in North Carolina, we didn't get to meet. So when I came back, I would have been 16, because I came back home for Christmas when I was 16, and that's the year I called her. I dropped her a phone call because I was back in Texas for Christmas to see my dad, and I was like, "Kid, Joss lives over here. Joss lives in Texas. I'm gonna call Jocelyn." And nobody answered, and I got a phone call back later from her, and the first words out of her mouth were, "Is your dad's name Michael?" And I was stunned. I was like, just like head whip, like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Well, her grandma had apparently recognized my very uncommon last name, which, by the way, for anybody looking to pronounce my last name, it's fucking Wizenhunt. I can whiz and hunt. I can multitask. So anyway, she recognized that last name, and I found out that Bio Mom supposedly did leave me in the car while she went and got drunk in a bar, which is why I had weak lungs. I do remember, not vaguely, I remember the old school full mouth thing. I had to use that till I was about 3 years old. I remember using it at 3. So that was a thing. I remember watching. I watched the world. I was placed into positions, especially with the whole watching the parents do whatever they were doing that wasn't construed as a healthy relationship, be it in any time period. It's not a healthy relationship, whatever the fuck they were doing. But there was nothing I could do about it. So I was really in a position where I had to just watch and take in what was going on around me and kind of decipher it myself. So at 3 years old, I believe I subconsciously, if not prior, knew I was a boy. And that's a fun story too, because looking back, I've gotten some downloads. I think my Earth Dad knew. I think he started seeing me do things magically that made him shut it down immediately. The same way that he shut down strollers when I was 4. So we were going into the store, and I sat down in my stroller, and I was very much Daddy's princess. I'm the baby of my family. That might be another important addition. I am the baby. So we were going into the store, and I sat down in my stroller, and shit you not, I sat down, wiggled back, and went, "Oh, this is nice. I could get used to this." And I shit you not, Dad went, "Oh, that's not happening." Foomp! I never saw a stroller again. Not once. He did what I thought, or what I called, having met my stepmom when I was 4.5. Ish. I say that because they apparently dated when they were in high school. And that's where we get into fun stuff, because I don't believe Uncle Larry passed away of the accord that I was told. So, Dad had a habit, had a proclivity of setting literal fires inside what I assume was great grandpa's house. Here's some more fun family history. My dad's grandfather was came from nothing and ended up owning 2 canning factories and a cotton gin in Lindale, Texas. The City of Commerce building is his house. So it would have been in that City of Commerce building that my father was setting fucking fires on the 2nd floor. Because this young man, oh, it was that house. Okay, so yeah, Dad and Uncle Jim pushed Aunt Pam out a 2nd floor window, and a tree branch caught her eye. So she was able to pop that glass eye out for me when I was like 8 years old. So I got to see that was real. And she told me that a tree branch caught it while she was riding a horse. I learned when I got older that it had been my father and his younger brother pushing her out the fucking window. Well, Father and Uncle Jim also decided to see if gasoline would float on water and still light. And it does. They found that out, that it does, in the 2nd floor bathroom fucking sink. And then there was this other time that, and this would have been early 60s, okay? So some of the older individuals will remember these socks and these original colored lights. But there was when colored light bulbs originally came out, Dad wanted one. The boys wanted one. And Grandpa, my grandpa, their dad, had told them no. So they took those colored socks that are like, they're real cute. They got the long, thin ankle part, and they got the little footy part. And they're blue or green or yellow or red or some shit. And they put that over the light. And they made their colored light. And that's really ingenious. It's, high five, Dad. Until Grandpa called them down for dinner, in which they decided to place this lamp, this bedside table lamp, underneath the bed so they wouldn't get caught. Grandpa wouldn't see the light under the bed. And then they went on down, ate dinner, and in the midst of dinner, 2nd floor is on fire. And I can only assume that this likely happened in what is now the City of Commerce building for Lindale, Texas. This is great. I love my life. So anyway, I'm 4 years old, and oh wait, no, go back. The Lindale house, and my stepmom. So Dad and stepmom dated in high school, which means she knew Uncle Larry. And Dad had a proclivity for tampering with things. Dad said Uncle Larry passed away being hit at a red light by an 18-wheeler. Why was it an 18-wheeler? Why was it a truck with 18 wheels? So, anyway, yeah, 24, 2 plus 4. Numbers are fun. Again, they lead you to the path. They are not the path. Do not get confused. Also, do not let them, be mindful. Just be mindful. Because there are times that the numbers can appear right, but there's just one thing that's off. That's your marker. That's your marker that says no. Anything other, just like with RAPE, anything outside of a resounding yes means fucking no. So, if there's a fucking number that's off or whatever when you're looking at shit, trust that. Trust your instincts. If it says no, if it's not resounding yes, your body, your instincts, your mind, your everything is telling you no. Listen to you before you listen to anyone else, first and foremost. And secondly, if they don't have a resounding yes, then you trust that their no is honest, whether or not it was spoken. Now that out of the fucking way. Dad said Uncle Larry got hit by an 18-wheeler. Stopped at a light. And that Uncle Jim just happened to be at the gas station across the street. And we're talking, here's your road, here's your gas station, here's Uncle Larry. Dad said 18-wheeler came up behind him and kicked him in to the intersection. Biomom says he swiped him. I'm guessing Biomom said he ran the red light. That's technically what she said, so let's use that. Uncle Larry ran the red light, and the tractor trailer swiped him. You know what I'm fucking betting? I'm betting he was talking to my stepmom. I bet Dad found out, and I bet Dad tampered with those brakes with Uncle Jim. Or knew. If Uncle Jim did not help my father, then he knew. Which is why he was at that fucking gas station. Like, don't play me for a fool. So Dad gets back with stepmom when I'm like 4.5. And the first night, it was the only night that we spent the night at her place. It was in an apartment. She was some form of secretary for, what was it? Greenville? Yeah, there was a hospital. It was a Greenville hospital here in Dallas area. I'm pretty sure it was Greenville. But she had work the next day, so we stayed at her apartment, and I had daycare or whatever, and I was really tired. I assumed new environment, I didn't sleep well, whatever have you, but I was tired enough to not be okay with waking up, and my poor 4-year-old self remembers this rather vividly. I was not asleep. I was absolutely playing asleep, and I was doing a rather decent job, and I was like rolling back over after I had been jostled, like with the verbal, hey, it's time to get up, and I was almost back asleep, and I hear ice go into a pitcher, and then I hear the water faucet turn on and start filling the pitcher, and I'm like, why is mommy, because I already called her mommy, because I was so desperate for a mom, that I had gone up to her and asked, are you my real mommy, or can you be my mommy? And I knowingly started convincing myself that she was my biological mother having returned. Yeah, I knew. I knew that I was lying to myself. I knew she wasn't my bio mom. And I didn't care, because I had spent the first 5 years-ish of my life without mom. So, pitcher's filling up, it's got ice in it, it's filling up with water, and I'm like, what is mommy doing making lemonade this early in the morning? And I start nodding off again, and then I've got ice and water hitting my head and face, and the first words out of my mouth were, you got my pillow wet, because all I could think about was trying to go to bed that night on a wet fucking pillow. I don't remember if I had a good day or not. I don't remember the rest of that day. I remember one time I wouldn't lay down for a nap. I was a trouble child. I'll say that. Um, and we're gonna try to stick to kind of big factors on this, and this is our because it's gonna take a while anyway. It's gonna take enough time on its own. But this gives you basics. We can line up stories and piece little puzzles together, which I enjoyed doing growing up. Go figure. Just figuring out where the pieces go. What are they for? Where does this belong? So they got married. So both my moms are named Mary now. And I've convinced myself stepmom is mommy. Bio mom. And when I was 7, we moved out of the address 707 Park Street to 929 Anacade Road. Lo and behold, we purchased the house that the road was named after. The woman that originally owned the house that my father decided to purchase when we moved from 707 Park Street in Rockwall to 929 Anacade was Miss Anacade's house, or her old house. So we were the only house on that entire street back in the 90s that had a non-alphabetical thing added. Like, all the other addresses were 929 A, B, C, D, whatever. We were the only house on that street that was 929. When was that? I was 7. So that would have been 1995. So big mile markers from here, with added details where necessary. Second grade. My number was 22. My classroom, you know how they give you numbers so you know which cubby or locker or whatever have you, where you keep your stuff, the desk. They give you numbers. Mine was 22. So I'm in second grade with the number 22. 222. My dad's dad, my grandfather Wisenhunt, passed away that year of a heart attack. Now, mind you, he had his first heart attack when he was 17 years old. He passed away of his 17th heart attack. Rewind that and repeat it as much as you need to, the whole fucking video. It's going to keep going. This does not stop. This kind of bullshit does not stop in my life, okay? So he had his first heart attack at 17 years old. He was a medic in World War II. And he died of his 17th heart attack at age 72 while I was 7 years old in the second grade. Third grade, I'm 9 years old. I broke my right arm on Mother's Day. 3 years after my brother broke his right arm on Mother's Day. There are medical records, you can look them up. Like, we can fact check my shit. Go ahead. Fourth grade was the tipping point for Earth Dad and Stepmom to pull me out of public school. And we were homeschooled when I was in 5th grade by my stepsister, who didn't actually stay and teach. We got told our assignments and then, like, left alone. She graded them at the end of the week or whatever. We were home alone while being homeschooled. It was my brother, who's 3 years and 11 months older than me, and myself. Mandy, who was 20-ish at the time, was not present while we were doing our schoolwork. So these wonderfully clear tote containers that contained all the answers were in our living room underneath the TV. So, like, for the most part, I did my work. But when I didn't feel like it, or I didn't know the answers, we cheated. Because they were dumb enough to leave the shit out. Not because we actually wanted to do it. It was legit. Ray and I, my brother and I, had a conversation about it. Oh, they're going to do this? Yeah, right. Thanks, answers. So, mom and dad only tolerated that for a year. 6th grade, I was back in public school. It was something that... There was a thing in 6th grade. I'll come back to it. That was the last year I had my first best friend. She moved out of state with her family at the end of 6th grade. I think it might have been 8th grade. I know 7th and 8th grade, and I'd have to look at the years. But I ended up in BAC, which is behavior adjustment class. We called it badass children. You know, just fuel my fire, why don't you? But one year of middle school, I was in a behavior adjustment class, and then the other year of middle school, I was at an anger management camp. And I know I have a beard, and I know I'm very masculine, but understand I was a 13-year-old young woman out in the middle of East fucking Texas in the woods at an anger management camp because I had anger issues. I was fine until I got pushed too far, and then it was my fault. And it didn't matter what it was. It never mattered. Nobody ever listened. So, end of 8th grade and into the summer, I started bucking my stepmom. I know I was 13. She'd gotten onto me for something, and there was something about my watch. There was like a wristwatch that I was messing with, and I needed it to work. There was something, I don't know, I don't remember. I was 13. But I needed the watch, and it was more important for some reason than what she had to say, because what she was talking about wasn't even right anyway. She was getting on to me about something I didn't do, which is pretty normal in my life. So I'm fucking with this watch, and she smacks it out of my hand, and it shatters on the floor. And that was the first time I really hardcore cussed in front of her since I was 5. That's what happened when I was 5. We were at Camp Jackson. Jacksboro. It's called Jacksboro. And I was 5, and that was the year I got soap in my mouth, because that was the first year stepmom had really been around dad's rowdy friends that would camp at a place called Camp Jacksboro, where situations such as this occur, that my father's cleaning his gun and somebody decides, cleaning his rifle, and somebody decides to throw a fucking, black cat or a firecracker underneath the seat where he was cleaning his rifle, and I helped him doctor his leg for a while. He had a 3rd-degree burn on his leg. So that happened. And I think I said damn. I think I said shit or damn. But that caused stepmom to, pour Dawn into my mouth. I didn't get the bar of soap. Y'all some lucky mugs, let me fucking tell you. I got the blue bottle of Dawn fucking dish soap squeezed into my mouth. Now, one of the other boys, it probably was the Talbert boys or somebody that palled around with the Talberts. They went and they brought me a Mondo. They brought me one of those little kid drinks, and they gave me a Mondo, and that made it better. And there's something in that lake at Jacksboro. There was nothing in the life of me that could draw me into that. There was something in there. And I don't know what it is, but I would have to go out to the property and feel it now to tell you whether or not I trust that water. But look, there was something in that water, a being. And it may not have been physical. It may have been just energetic by that point, but I knew not to get in that water. And I never have. So, first time I had cussed since then was when I was 13 when stepmom broke the watch. Well, you know, go figure. This woman's the secretary of the church we attend. The preacher lives behind us, and the first cuss word I say since I'm 5 years old in front of her is goddamn. And it was, you broke my goddamn watch. It flew out of my mouth. I just happened. So I got smacked across the face, which she doesn't agree. She says I picked my nose for it to happen. Give me a book. Give me a polygraph test. I didn't pick my fucking nose. My nose started bleeding. It took 20, 30 minutes, but my nose started bleeding. So by the time I'm 14 and a half, I'm really hardcore into this. You're not my real mom. I don't have to listen to you. And while in a lot of cases that is the teenage lashing out and stuff, I don't know that that's where it was coming from for me specifically. But I'm a different kind of kid. So reluctant plans were made for me to go live with my bio mom, who I had barely met the year prior. She had called when I was 7, left a message on the answering machine, old school playback answering machine, and I got to it first, but it wasn't a race game. I just noticed it when we walked in the door and went, oh, button! And hit play kind of thing. It wasn't I get to do it. It was oh, look! Boing! Because that's kind of that's my innate presentation of self. And it was Biomom. And stepmom being Mary, when the machine started going, Michael, this is Mary! And then goes into the slew of cuss words. I looked at Dad and I was like, why is Mommy mad at you? And he goes, that's not your mommy. That's your bio mom. And I'm like, oh, well. And I didn't say it out loud, but my brain at 7 years old was like, guess I gotta face this now. And accept that stepmom is not bio mom. Frontal lobe, get the fuck over it. So I did. And I think I was 9. She called back. My brother was 12. I answered the phone. Wisenhunt's residence. Amber speaking. How may I help you? And she's like, is your brother home? And I'm like, who are you and how do you know I have a brother? And the response was in this tone, I'm your mother. And I was just like, who's this bitch? This is fuck. And I'm like, he's getting, and I was looking out the window, dude, the window of the house. He was getting off the bus. I was like, he's getting off the bus. Do you want to wait on him? She was like, no, just tell him I love him and I want him to come move in with me. Well, he had made it into the front door by that point. Like, that's how long it took. Was for me to ask the question and her respond. That's how long it took for him to get into our house from the front door. Okay? So I handed him the phone, and I went in my room. I went to my bedroom, and I went and bawled my fucking eyes out because she couldn't think to say that she loved me. She couldn't even cross her mind. Sorry, I had a phone call. I wasn't answering. Yeah. For the tarot readers, no, I'm not answering those phone calls. What do they think I am? Stupid? I'm retarded, not stupid. Sorry for those of you that don't like the R word. They called me that the entire time that I was growing up in the 90s. I get to use it against them now, and you don't get to use that against me. You don't get to take that away from me. That is mine now. That word is mine. Just as this whole planet is. Just so we're clear. So anyway. Biomom calls when I'm 9 to tell my 12-year-old brother, oh, I get the chance because Texas, the legal age is 12. You get to choose the parent you live with. She wasn't worried about me. I was 9. I couldn't choose. So, Ray's like, no, I'm not going to move in with you. And I think he, like, hung up on her. When I'm 11, Ray, my brother, got his Game Boy Color taken away. You're welcome. Memories are great. And it was hidden in Dad and Stepmom's bedroom. So our asses went in there while Mom and Stepmom were gone at work and started hunting his Game Boy down. And I found the stack of letters. I found the stack of cards in my dad's dresser drawer. And it was about yay thick. And they were cards from over the years to my brother and to myself from our biological mother. I left them. I didn't open. I might have opened them. I think I opened one and found out what it was. There was a $5 bill in it. We left the money. I put the cards back. And then I let it fester. I didn't say anything. Until something got brought up. I had gotten in trouble, or Biomom got brought up or something, and maybe it was when I said I wanted to go move in with her when I was like 13, or I wanted to meet her, and Dad said something in response, and I was like, yeah, something about not communicating. And I'm like, yeah, what about the stack of cards in your bedroom? Why don't you tell me about that? She ain't trying to communicate. By the time I was 14 and a half, it was done. I was out of patience. I couldn't do it anymore. I should probably let y'all see my eyes, because I don't need to see, really. I'm farsighted, so I can see anyway. I just can't read real well. So Dad relented. I know this isn't a whiskey glass, it's fucking coffee. And agreed to take me to go live with my biomom. Who lived in North Carolina. Still does. That was a 22-hour drive that he spent on the verge of tears. And my 14-and-a-half-year-old self saw it. I watched. That was one of the hardest trips I've ever taken, to watch my father on the verge of tears, going to drop his youngest child off with what was viewed as, at the time, the abusive parent. And while she did her own levels of abuse, it wasn't the abuse my dad was hinting at being displayed. Like, He never said anything bad about her, really. The only verbatim negative thing Dad said about Biomom was, "Your mom's not the best person in the world, kiddo." And that was it. That was it. That was all he said. And, while I used to have respect for him about that, I don't believe I do anymore. I believe there's far more to this story than what I knew, and what I still know. So, I think that was one of the cosmic signs to his subconscious that knew the plan. Oh, look, if y'all didn't hear that, that was like an acorn or a pecan dropping. It's probably confirmation or something. I don't know. This is maybe. That was his subconscious's first sign that I would make it. That I would win. So, here I am, 14 and a half, meeting this woman that's supposedly my biomom. That's what my birth certificate says. And she's really kind of cool the first 3 months. It's pretty chill. She lets me go to Hot Topic to buy my clothes for school, which would have never fucking happened in my dad's house. She let me be myself. And at the time, it was out of spite. Frontal lobe. Her frontal lobe was doing this out of spite for my father because she knew. She knew I was never allowed to be my true self in his house. If only because of my stepmom. So she let me. For the most part. Like, until I came out as a lesbian. After the first 3 months, it started not going okay. And she started physically abusing me. I will discuss those occasions on a separate video with a warning. What ended up happening is CPS eventually got called, and then she sweet-talked them. She did that number, and they left, and I didn't go with them. I got put in 2 separate group homes, and then I ran away for a while. I disappeared for 2 weeks and got picked up because I didn't skip school. Then I got sent to Grandfather Home in Grandfather Mountain, Avery County, North Carolina. That was the first group home. I had been there about a month, and I found out it was for the sexually addicted. And I was like, dude, what? I've had one girlfriend, and you're putting me here? Okay. So I ran away, disappeared on them, freaked them out, came back to cops on the property a few days later, and made them go on a wild goose chase with me. I busted out a couple windows, went running through some buildings, busted out another window to get out of the building. They went to pepper spray me, and I covered my face, and this dumbass fat fucker cop who couldn't run for shit was like, she's got her face covered, what do I do? And I'm sitting there like this. This is how I covered my face. And I'm sitting there fucking smiling. Because how am I the child? How am I the kid in this situation with you doing that? We're going to pause. I'll be right back.